Good afternoon, people. Thank you for joining us today. I hope all of you can hear me clearly. If not, you can let me know in the comment box on your GoToWebinar panel. It should be somewhere on the right side of your screens. My name is Sean. I am a part of the enrollment solutions team at LeadSquared. Most people on here know what we do, but just to give you a brief background, LeadSquared is an enrollment management platform that's used by over 300 career schools in the United States and Canada. Our product is a single platform that takes the pain out of managing your entire admissions funnel, your forecasting, daily activities, student engagement, calling, texting, emailing, everything at one place. Now, today's webinar is about getting enough inquiries to build an active admissions funnel. We're calling this a LeadGen Masterclass. With us, leading the presentation, we have Jen and Anthony, who have been amazing consultants to career schools on this particular topic for over 2 decades now. They help institutes of all sizes, strategies, and spend make their marketing investments perform better. I will let Jen and Anthony introduce their work further. We'll take all the questions in the end. So if you please look around your screen again, in the same GoToWebinar panel, you'd spot a button that says questions. Please click on that and type everything you want to be discussed in there. I will read it out aloud for everyone towards the end. Jen, I'll let you take this away now. Hope you guys have a good time.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Hey everyone, my name is Jenn Lyles and I am a lead generation consultant. I'm a former beauty school marketing director, and I just saw a lot of success doing things with the school I was working with. We increased lead flow and enrollment by 34% my first year as marketing director. And over the past 3 years, I was consulting on the side. And then a year ago, I quit my full-time job so that I could just help vocational education get more leads, give them ideas for strategies for marketing. And so what I did was I created a 2-day training. It includes 9 proven steps for success. I go into schools. I teach them how to basically replicate the success I've had. And I've seen amazing things with every single client over this past year. But one of the number one questions I get asked is how to find a really great digital marketing agency. And there's a lot of really good ones out there. I can recommend some if you'd like. And then, of course, a lot of people on this call, you're already working with an agency that you really enjoy, and I think that's amazing. What I wanted to do, which I've done a lot of webinars, and I've seen the list of people on here. Hello, I know a lot of you all have been on my webinars in the past. I wanted to co-present this one with a digital marketer, specifically so that I could show people on this call how a digital marketing company can work together with a school. So if you're on the call today and you're on the school side, I'm your representation today. I want to show you how, as a school owner, manager, or marketing director, or admissions director, you can better work with that digital marketing agency that you have. And then Anthony is going to be working or sharing his side as a digital marketer and how he works with schools. So I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name's Anthony Espinoza. I'm the Vice President of Digital Strategies for Advanced 360, located here in New York City. Our staff is 12,000 employees strong. My specific staff focuses on schools that are not meeting enrollment. And through this presentation, you'll see how digital transformation and disruption is really affecting schools from coast to coast. And so my staff really focuses on technology, research, and quality lead flow to drive enrollment. And happy to be on here and share some best practices.
And so one of the really exciting things we're going to do for everyone on this call is give you guys a free SEO analysis. And basically, to claim this, all you have to do is email Anthony and myself, say the name of your school, your position, tell us a little bit about yourself. And within a couple of days, Anthony will send this back. So before we jump into the presentation, I'm going to let Anthony explain what an SEO analysis even is.
Sure. Along with an SEO analysis, we'll also do a website audit. The audit will really consist of any broken links that the website might have. We'll evaluate site speed. We'll take a look at it from top to bottom, make some recommendations. It's a pretty concise audit. With the SEO audit, it includes your meta tags, your H1 tags, your visibility from an SEO standpoint. We'll take a look to see if there are any toxic links attached to the site, anything that can compromise the site. And what this does, it allows you to take a look at the report and either have your agency, current agency, and or yourself make these adjustments, because what we report back to you are things that need to be done, must be done to help you. Google is it's recognized as the king on searches, so you have to understand their quality score and how they either help you or hurt you based on what we provide back to you. And it is something, again, that you should take a look at and either do yourself or your current agency. If you have additional questions, you could email Jen and myself after you get the report, and we'd be happy to answer any of your additional questions.
Thanks so much for that, Anthony. I really want to quickly preview, guys, today what we're going to be talking about. And so we're going to be talking about 5 main areas. And here's the thing, like when Anthony and I were talking ahead of time about this webinar, we call it a masterclass, but I could legit spend an hour on each of these sections, and we're going to try to go over this entire thing within 40 minutes to leave you guys questions for the end. And so I think coming in the future, we might be able to do full webinars on just, different parts of this webinar, but I hope that you guys get a little bit of an overview. My hope is that you guys will walk away with at least 1 or 2 things you can implement immediately. So what we want to be talking about today is creating ads for high quality conversion. We're going to be talking about engagement drivers to get students to take action, landing page do's and don'ts. Again, very top level stuff there. I can spend an hour talking about that alone. Reporting. And then lastly, how to build that relationship with your digital marketing agency so that you guys can work cohesively together. So at the end of this webinar, I'm going to be giving you guys questions from a school standpoint of how to lean in and ask that agency exactly how to work best for you. And then Anthony's going to give you guys some things from their side. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to start it out with creating compelling ads. So if you've been on my webinars in the past, or if you know me at all, you know how I feel about a one-size-fits-all ad. I think they're done to death. I really don't think that's the best way to get people to engage with you. And of course, guys, we've talked about this a lot. There's different demographics, right? So like if you're 18, you probably shouldn't be getting the same ad as the 40-year-olds. If your campus is in an area of town where the population is mostly African-American or Hispanic or Caucasian, your ads need to reflect within the pictures that demographic, because you want to look like the people you're attracting to your school. We've talked about this, and honestly, I've seen an improvement across schools I've worked with. I feel like people are finally starting to get this right. They're no longer coming up with the one-size-fits-all ad. But what I want to talk with you today about compelling ads goes a little further, and that starts with the journey of a buyer. And so if I have a full-time job and if I have kids that I have to pick up from daycare at 5, and I have a job that I literally just hate and I want to do something new with my life, I would probably start with a Google search. I might ask around with friends. There's several different ways I might go looking for my next step. But let's say I start right there with a Google search. Given my life circumstances of having a job, having children, having to be at daycare at 5, how likely am I to start school next week? I mean, let's use some common sense here. I'm going to say not very likely. But what I am seeing a lot of times is schools have an ad that say classes start September 19th. Like, I literally could hit my head against the wall. You don't even know me yet. Like, you know nothing about me, and you're already shoving me to come to your school. That ad is a good ad for people who are further along in a buying cycle. And so this is what I want to talk about really quick, are these 3 areas of the buying cycle. There's the awareness stage. So this is where you're experiencing symptoms of a problem, like the I hate my job. There's the consideration stage. So this is where you're defining those possible solutions. So I want to be a nurse, but I need to take night classes. And then there's that last stage, that decision stage. And that is the one where you maybe have your list of 10 schools, you've whittled it down to 2, you've gone on tours of both, and you're deciding, I'm going to go to this one because they have night classes that start at 6 and I can get a babysitter by then. So when you look at your lead flow right now, a lot of people currently in your CRM are probably in that consideration to decision stage because at some point they have requested information. But a lot of the leads that you guys want to get, they're in the awareness stage. They don't even know they don't even know what career they want. They don't even know what that's going to take. They don't even know how much money it's going to cost. They don't know. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, something just came up. And so what we're doing is we're giving these people ads for the decision stage when we should be giving them ads for the awareness stage. And so I just want to make sure that when you guys are working with your digital marketing agency, you're coming up with ads for every stage of this buying cycle. What does that look like? In the awareness one, it's probably stats about your industry. In the consideration one, it's probably what sets you apart from the school next door or from your biggest competition. And in that last stage, it is those final pushes. It is, you can have this career within a year, classes start tomorrow, orientations coming up, that sort of thing. Maybe this will play. This is an ad that I created with a school I was working with. And what we did was we wanted to come up with an ebook, something that schools could download. And to me, that is a give. I mean, you guys are asking people to fill out a lead form and give their most sacred information, their cell phone number, their email address. What can you give them in return? And so we're going to be talking about this more here in a minute when it comes to engaging leads and when it comes to landing pages. But when you're creating ads, I like telling a story. Sometimes being funny is good. Several years ago, memes were really big, and so I created a meme campaign, and that's what the ads were because they didn't look like ads. That works sometimes. Emotional marketing is a really great way to connect with a lead. I gave the idea here of the ebook, and then video. You guys need to be using video for Instagram and Facebook ads. Stagnant ads are great as well, but really engaging people, getting people to click on your ad, telling a story within that video, whether it's stats or just a story about your curriculum, A/B testings, try out different ads. And my rule is always, is it something you would click on? Does it look like an ad? Is that something that you would click on? Make sure you have a really strong call to action, which is why I really like the idea of coming up with an ebook. Instead of just saying, learn more or go here, you're telling them, download this. I'm going to give you something in exchange for your information. Anthony's going to take this one.
So as I mentioned earlier, with the digital transformation, which is disrupting how we would go to market, say even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it is critical that the agency you're working with understands and is at the forefront of data and data transformation, data science and analytics. All will funnel into this. And so when we talk about engagement, we're really talking about social engagement. With all the social clutter, it is critical that I point back to what Jen just went over, which is having decisive plans on what we're going to produce with creative and video content to engage prospective students early in the funnel. These again are people that we want to engage that have demonstrated some sort of behavior that they could be interested in a particular program and or course. So when we take a look at the transformation, we say, okay, creative is one. The second key is, do we have the right data to identify audiences? If I were to ask you, do you know your audience in your market? In some cases, the answer is no. This is where data becomes prominent. Data will allow you to identify those people in the market, and then we let the data dictate where we serve the ads, both video and static creative, whether that go on Instagram, whether that go on Facebook, whether it go on Twitter, LinkedIn, or even Snapchat. And so depending on what the audience buckets look like, the data, relevant data, is what will lead us to engaging the people and driving quality lead flow back to the school. The other key component that is missed often as I speak to people from coast to coast is the frequency. So we identify an audience, we have the right data. Now we're looking to engage these people. I'm often asked, how many times should I serve an ad to prospective students? And the answer is no less than 6. 6 to 8 is a sweet spot. 10 is probably at the top, no more than 10. But if you were to stay between 6 and 10, and with the relevant data, you're going to be engaging people and driving quality leads to the school. Once we engage these individuals, they come to your site, they're going to come off the site maybe not filling anything out. So retargeting these same individuals on social platforms is one of the best ways to re-engage and drive quality leads. So taking it from the top, if you're taking notes, it's identifying your data sets through relevant data. How often is that data refreshed? Am I working with survey data, or am I working with claimed behavior, or am I working with observed behavior? Because there's a key there. Observed behavior will help you engage your creative assets. And so understanding that social media will play a vital role, it's not the end all be all, but it's one of the key components in engaging people early in their enrollment cycle to ultimately choose your school over your competitor. And we continue with the engagement with geo-fencing. And I'm not sure how many of you have incorporated geo-fencing into your campaigns, but imagine you're a high school student sitting in an auditorium and you have a career counselor coming to speak to students about an automotive school, cosmetology opportunity. Those students sitting in those auditoriums are going to be on the phone. This is a great way to use geo-fencing to engage those high schoolers as they are on social media, as they are on apps like Candy Crush and TMZ and Bravo and anywhere else they consume content. We're able to send your creative assets and or video to these people as they sit there, because we're collecting device IDs and we're able to retarget them over the course of 30, 60, and or 90 days, allowing them to engage with the creative assets and targeting them. In addition to that, imagine your competition is having an open house. This would be a great way to set a perimeter around their open house and target your competitors as they drive people to their open house, and you're able to cherry pick people that are there for a specific course. As we collect device IDs, we're then targeting them in their area of comfort, where they consume information. This is how schools are growing enrollment. They're taking them from the competition. So these tactics are good for targeting your competition, targeting high schools, community colleges, open house events, anywhere you feel you could drive additional enrollees. This is a tactic that should be included as part of your overall strategy. And if you're not familiar with these tactics of device ID collection, please send an email to Jen and myself, and we'll provide more information on this tactic that is really driving quality leads to schools.
And I really like that Anthony talked about community colleges, because I think sometimes we can get so wrapped up in our biggest competitor that is like us. And so if you're an aviation school, you're looking at a different aviation school, and that's all you're thinking about is they're my competition. It's not. community colleges or four-year universities are a bigger competition. That is where parents want to send their kids. That is where people feel like they need to be. And I know from working in schools, at least 70% of the students at these vocational schools started. They at least took a community college course, they took a semester, or maybe they even, took 2 full years and decided, I don't want to transfer to a four-year school. So when you're geofencing and you're geo-targeting, you want to make sure that you're changing up your ads, like we talked about ahead of time, to target those people. So if you're going to be targeting a military base, what can your ad say that speaks to those people specifically? Same with community colleges, etc. Anything else to add to that one, Anthony?
In addition to that, you may be the small school in your market, and you're going up against a school that has a bigger budget, that has 2 to 3 times your enrollment. These tactics, using quality data layered into your digital campaigns, i.e. geofencing, will help you dominate a bigger school in your market, because sometimes they are not working with the appropriate agency that has this type of data, and you will win in those cases.
And I also want to point out that I think a lot of times, school owners, directors, they are just wanting the quick ROI. So they're like, okay, let's geofence. How many leads did that get us last month? This doesn't work like that. I want to keep in mind that what we're trying to do is be an assisted conversion for your website. And so, eventually when someone does hate their job, when someone's thinking about leaving community college, whatever it is, hopefully you've done a good enough job showing them ads on their apps, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the different places they are, so that subconsciously they do think of you, and that when they Google you, they do see your ad, or they see you, high organically, and they click on your website and they come to your website. And so I just want to, that's also for social. I think a lot of times we are so quick to pull a report and want the immediate ROI. I'm telling you, from a marketing perspective, someone who's worked in schools, ease up on your marketing directors, because there always isn't an immediate ROI. What we're trying to do is create a really great audience so that you can feed them really great content, and so that your admissions people aren't flooded with top of funnel people who aren't ready to enroll. But rather, they're getting a better quality lead who knows more about your school and is ready to go like the second they meet you. I just feel the need, again, from the school perspective, to always defend the admissions reps and the marketing people with this tactic. Anything else? Should we move on, Anthony?
Yes, let's move on.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about landing pages. In case you don't know what a landing page is, this is where the lead goes once they click on your ad. So maybe it's a banner ad. Maybe it's like one of those ads that Anthony was talking about that shows up on Candy Crush. Maybe it's your Facebook. Maybe it's your Google ad. Whatever sort of ad you have out there, it should lead you to a page. And so if your leads are being funneled directly to your website, like your homepage, like on paid search, I want you guys to change that immediately. Organic traffic is really the only way people should be finding your website. Landing pages are specifically created to capture a lead, because after all, you are paying for that lead. So you don't want someone to land on the homepage of your website where there's 15 tabs at the top and they can navigate everything and find everything themselves and get all the answers they need, and then decide to come back a year from now when they're ready to enroll. What you want is a very limited page that's simple, has little text. Just wanted to put this one up as an example. So a good landing page is simple, little text. It's specific to the ad. If you're doing a military ad and someone clicks it, take that lead to a page with military verbiage or a photo that's military specific. So having multiple landing pages, especially if you're doing multiple campaigns, is a great idea. If you have multiple programs at your school, having a landing page for each of those is also a great idea, because they generally will attract a different kind of person, a different kind of audience. That being said, don't overthink those. Okay, I don't want you to think, all right, I'm going to need 20 landing pages. We have 10 programs. We have all these different demographics. If you don't have a landing page at all, start with one. And these are just some really simple things that you can keep in mind as you're creating them. Like I said, to keep it simple, match those campaigns. Have a strong call to action. When someone's filling out the lead form, make it simple. Make it so that when you bring it up on your phone, and again, bring out your phone, see what your landing page looks like on your phone, and you want to see how easy the lead form is to fill out. Just a really simple thing is the phone number. When someone clicks the phone number tab, does the phone pad come up so that the numbers are bigger and it's easier? Or does the entire keyboard come up so that then you have to hit the number symbol and then your fingers are hitting the wrong numbers, which happens all the time. A simple form, try a multi-step form. So, you're engaging them. What kind of program are you interested in? What campus would be good for you? And then the third one is their information. And a lot of times what research is showing is if people fill out those first two, which are kind of easy buys, they're likely to fill out the third page or the third part of the form, which is just their own information. Regardless of what you do, I'm a big fan of A/B testing. So test things. Change up the headlines on those landing pages, swap out the photo, try a form versus a multi-step form. Just test things. And when you feel like you've done something that really seems to be converting well, start to switch your other campaigns to direct to a landing page like that. And I want to remind you, what works today probably is not going to work a year from now. So make sure you are changing things regularly. And then you want to minimize the chances of clicking off the page. So this is another thing I see schools doing wrong with landing pages is they'll have here's, a little bit about our program. Click here for more information about our programs. And then it goes to the website with all the program information. Here's a really great testimonial. Click here for more testimonials. Now you're going back to the website for that. And they literally give 10 different clicks back to your website. You're not going to convert people that way if you're giving them 10 options to click off your website. Yes, for compliance reasons, have a blurb at the bottom about anything compliance-wise you need. And you're fine to have a tab at the bottom that says, click here for full website. But don't give your lead 10 chances to click off your page. You're just going to see a lower conversion rate with that. This is now Anthony is going to tell us about this part.
Right. So the reporting aspect, and all of you get reporting for your digital campaigns with technology, and I mentioned this time and again on the call, is digital disruption. With that comes technology, it comes research, data. Here's where the technology plays a valuable role in your reporting. The guesswork goes out the window. How many times does your agency tell you it's going to be 2 days before you get reporting, it's going to be 5 days, whatever it may be? What if I were to tell you now, with technology and algorithms, you could now have reporting in real time? You could now see how your campaigns are performing without having to reach out to your agency for reporting. So on the screen, this is reporting for social, but this could be for in-app targeting. This could be for any of your video campaigns, a TrueView campaign. You can import into a dashboard, even some of your broadcasts, or if some of you guys are doing streaming TV, i.e. YouTube TV, Hulu Live, things of that nature, you're more progressive. How do you know if your campaigns are actually driving the KPIs that you agreed to? So this type of reporting now and insight give you up to the minute the information that you need to see if your campaigns are on the right track with frequency, engagement, click-throughs, etc. These dashboards can be custom. So you could ask your agency, do you have custom dashboards that you could provide for my school to eliminate the manual reporting process, this might be a great time to get introduced to technology that will work for you. You could be at home, you could be on a train, you could be on the road. You could easily go to your cloud-based reporting dashboard to get the information that you're looking for, whether that's your social campaigns, your as I mentioned, all of your campaigns that are running. In addition to that, do you know if you're running your paid search, your PPC, through a bidding software, or is your agency, or are you doing it manually? So the time has come for those that are doing it manually to use a bidding software that will optimize your campaigns 24/7 and give you the KPIs that you're looking for, increased visibility, lower your cost per click. A bidding software like this, Matchcraft, that provides you with a snapshot that you're looking at now, provides all the key metrics that you would be looking for. What's your impression share? How many clicks have I gotten? What's my click-through rate? How many form fills have I gotten? How many phone calls? How much is my spend? Then you click into another tab and it tells you what are the key performing keywords. So let's cut the fat. We only use money for words that are converting. What's my geography? Is the geography that I'm currently spending money in producing? The dashboard allows you to see all of this in real time and make adjustments based on facts and not guesswork or a manual report. So I urge you, go back to your agencies and get with the times, which is technology that works for you. Not only does the technology provide the reporting, but it does really well with monitoring campaigns, also monitoring your competition, seeing what the click-through rates are, identifying seasonality, identifying upticks. How many of you have had your agency call you and tell you that they've run out of money, that we didn't pace accurately? With technology as a bidding software, you don't have those issues anymore. Now your campaigns are pacing according to searches, and you're not running out of money 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in. How many of you get a phone call third weekend of the month that you need to spend more money because they overshot the runway and now you don't have any more money for the next 7 to 10 days of the month? You can eliminate those headaches by getting into whether it's Matchcraft or any bidding software. There are multiples that I could recommend. It doesn't have to be this one, but this is one that you could use to target by zip code, by target by DMA. You can target by town or city. This works for you. And again, the software is micromanaging your campaigns 24/7, and it allows you to get the reporting in real time. There's no more manual reporting for your pay-per-click campaigns. It's coming automated because you're pulling it straight out of the bidding software. So this is the way that you should be looking at reporting, through technology and through automated reporting.
You know, Anthony, from the school perspective too, you know, I've worked with different digital marketing agencies, and I think what a lot of schools do, and I just know this from working with so many different ones, is they put a lot of trust in their digital marketing agency. They put a lot of trust in that agency. So I will ask schools, like, how much are you spending on Google for PPC? And they'll say, oh, I'm spending a couple grand a month. And I always say, what does your ad say? They 9 times out of 10 don't know. They have no idea what their ad says. And to me, that's just sad. You're completely trusting an agency to brand your school, to come up with the verbiage that people are going to click on. And yes, they should be giving those recommendations. They should have the know-how, how to tell you guys, hey, I think we should maybe, you know, swap up this word with this word. That being said, you as a school not knowing what your ads say is a sad state. And that's why I love software like this. I'm familiar with Matchcraft, and this is not a click. This is just a photo, so it's not like a clickable thing. But if it was, if I clicked ads, I would be able to see exactly what every single PPC ad looks like. And not only that, when I click it, what landing page it takes me to. And so I just want to empower anyone here who works at a school and works with an agency. I want to empower you guys to take ownership, because this is your school. This is your brand. These agencies, these people like Anthony, they have a ton of different schools they work with. And so the one thing you don't want is you don't want your stuff looking recycled. You don't want your ads saying the same thing everything else says that the schools they work for says. I want you guys to take ownership in your own brand. And that is going to take me to this last section, which is working with a digital agency. I want you guys as schools to be asking yourself and asking the agency you're working with is, do you have access to reporting? And if they're saying only at the end of the month, that scares me. If you can't have ongoing reporting or a dashboard that you can log into to see how well your ads are performing, how do you know how they're spending your money? How do you know if they're truly putting it toward PPC and not toward banner ads or something else that doesn't convert so well? You need to make sure that you as a school, that you have access to that. I just mentioned this. What do your Google ads say? What does your little snippet say? You need to know this as a school. What landing pages are attached to every ad? Do you know your cost per lead? Ask your company if they are A/B testing. Are they using different words, are they serving up Facebook ads slightly different? Are they changing up the calls to action for you? Are we trying different things? Or are we coming up with one ad and saying, boom, this is it? Make sure that you're working with an agency that understands A/B testing and supports it and does it. Does your agency understand your industry? Even if they're newer to this space, maybe you're with an aviation school and you're going to be working with an agency that works with other vocational schools and not specifically your industry. That's okay, but you're going to have to tell them about it. You're going to have to say why your industry is different and why your leads are different. I had to do this with Anthony. I actually met Anthony at Regions PCCS. We were both speaking there, and that's for all vocational schools. And I was, just in our conversation, he was able to tell me about like automotive schools, schools that have HVAC programs and different. I did not know that space personally, and I enjoyed learning about that. And although they work with beauty schools, they don't have a ton of beauty schools on their roster. So I was able to give him some tips with that. And so make sure you are working with your agency to help understand your industry, also your brand as a school, and then making sure your ads are a strong reflection of your school and that they're not looking like all the other schools they work with. Make sure that they are specific to you guys and your brand. Anthony, you want to cover this next one here?
Definitely. And so from an agency perspective, I think it's critical that you trust but verify. Too often I hear from schools coast to coast that they have complete trust in their agencies, regardless if they have technology, regardless if they have data, they take their word for it. Because change is scary for people. But I would urge you to ask these critical questions to your agency. Does your agency use a DMP? That's where data is housed. This is where audiences are built. You can no longer go on Facebook, go to the back end and start carving out an audience. You could, but it's not an effective way to do business. 5 years ago, that was great. In this day and age, it's not. Does your agency have a dashboard? I just went over dashboards. Do they provide you a dashboard so that you can monitor not only your spend, but how the campaigns are performing? Are you getting quality lead flow from your paid search? Are you a school that's looking for quantity over quality? And if you are, let's focus on quality over quantity. If you're getting quality, you should be converting at a higher pace. Also, does your paid search agency monitor your phone calls? In the dashboard example I gave you, all of your phone calls are housed in that dashboard. You click phone calls and you could hear every phone call from the person. It timestamps the person, the name, phone number, and email address of the person. And you can also listen to the quality so you could monitor how effective your folks are. Does your agency determine best platforms and channels for your campaigns? Is that done through collaboration? Is that done through market research and analysis? Is that done through your direction? These are questions that should be asked. It should be in collaboration, not only with you, but also with your admissions people. They hear things that you may not necessarily hear, but it's got to be a collaboration along with data and technology to best position yourself for strong visibility and quality lead flow. And then another question that's hard to ask is, does your agency build campaigns across multiple programs that work together to maximize results? In other words, are you one school that only uses PPC as your digital campaigns and you feel like that's sufficient? Well, if you're blowing out your enrollment, keep it up. But if you're not, then we have to expand what we're doing. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that now it's a holistic approach with digital disruption. And all of what we have discussed with data and technology is going to be critical. And these are just some of the questions that I have been asked at conferences, at different seminars, speaking at colleges and universities. These are questions that I welcome, because these are the questions that should be asked, and your marketing people and the marketing people on here get so much pressure from school owners and presidents that the agency should also carry some of that burden. And if you're asking these questions and the answers are no, 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 then it's time to make moves that will be best to help you grow in the future.
Lastly, guys, we just want to thank you all for being on this webinar. Anthony and I really enjoyed putting our heads together and coming up with something that we feel is a good overview, a good starting point for marketing. It goes beyond this. You know, like I said, we had to be sort of basic for the time and to cover so much material. But if you do have specific questions, and if you do want to take your school to the next level, reach out to us individually or together. We'd be happy to jump on a phone call with you and talk over some best practices. I want to remind you guys once again to claim your free SEO analysis, to email us both, and Anthony's team will get this done and get this over to you guys. At this time, we're going to go ahead and welcome some questions. So go ahead and click the questions tab on the side panel. Type in something if you have a question about anything we went over or anything else. Pick our brains for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll do our best to answer you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thanks, Anthony. I think you've already covered how they ask the questions. So in the go-to, click on questions and put whatever you want to ask out there. We already have 3. So the first one says that what kind of guides or ebooks would work best for capturing leads? I mean, I think, Jen, you mentioned in the beginning that ebooks and guides could be useful when in the awareness part. So I think this question is that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you the one that I did personally. It was an ebook on, it was a guide to touring schools. So we know that leads do not go to one school. They usually go to multiple. And so we basically came up with questions that said, this is your guide to how you tour a school. These are questions you should be asking. Obviously, we were also able to ask some questions. We knew we had better answers than our competition did. And so that to me is one. As far as other ideas, think about things that, you know, blog posts that get really high hits. check your industry's YouTube. Like if you're in beauty, if you're in the beauty space, if you're in the nursing space, whatever you're in, see what people in that space are talking about on YouTube. See what questions people are answering that experts are answering via a video. And you be the expert. You come up with that book. Ask your students, roundtable discussion it. To me, and I've always said this, from the very jump, this is exactly how I became successful in this space, is my best ideas came from my admissions director. We became best friends, and we would just talk on the phone, and she would tell me things like, oh, so many leads ask this, they all say this, they all say this. That gave me my best ideas. And that one specifically about the guide to touring schools, that just came from a conversation with admissions of them saying, man, we're having a lot of people come to our school and they all say they visited our competition down the street. Well, great. Let's get in front of them and let's make sure we're answering that better than our competition. And another idea is financial aid. I think a lot of times we just say, hey, financial aid is available to those who qualify. Guys, it's the number one question. It's the number one question people have is, can they afford your school? It's the biggest fear people have is, can I afford school? And so if you can come up with an ebook that really simply lays out taking the fear out of financial aid and giving people kind of an easy masterclass on how to do that to me would be a big one. Great question.
All right. And the next one goes, with a limited budget for a new vocational school, less than a year old, what is the best use of our marketing funds? What avenue is going to give us the best bang for the buck?
Right. And that's a really great question, because analyzing the market is priority one. And so taking a look at the budget versus what the market is demanding and or the opportunity, then with the limited budget, you're picking 1 to 2 products to begin. You start seeing success, and then you slowly start ramping your budget up. But again, it's first identifying the market. So market research plays a factor. Identifying where the best audience is within that market, and then putting those dollars in that pond, because that's where they are.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I also think it probably varies, with your industry and exactly what kind of budget you are talking about. One of the big areas that I think people just miss is just their website. No matter what kind of ads you do, no matter what kind of social presence you have, where are you directing your traffic? And if it is a Yellow Pages 1999 looking website, you're just going to look, that's just not going to be good for anyone. And so I would say investing in a really great website that hubs your information is going to be important, in addition, of course, to marketing spend. And then a CRM. It's one thing to get a ton of leads. It's another thing to not know how to regularly communicate and house these leads. And so having a CRM where every time someone requests information, there's an automatic email, an automatic text, something that's fired off and sent to them. I'm a big fan of CRM. And LeadSquared, who is the host today of our webinar, they have a really stellar CRM. So if you don't have one, I would check them out.
Thank you so much, Jen. So the next one is, how are digital marketing companies typically working fees for services? I think they mean to ask, what are the typical fees that the digital marketing agencies typically charge for these kind of services?
Sure. So fees are usually broken out, I would say, outside of paid search. So we're looking at social media and in-app targeting, any TrueView, any of those platforms. The standard management fees, 15 to 20%. And for paid search, it could be anywhere from 20 to 40%. I know agencies now mask it and are charging up to 50%. This is why a bidding software is really critical to see where your dollars are going. But for services, should be 15% for your paid search. If it's not on a bidding software, should be in the same realm, about 15 to 20%. If it's on a bidding software, anywhere from 25 to 35% is appropriate.
And that's the percentage of what you're spending a month.
Mhm. All right. And now the last question. This is a good one. So, what are your thoughts about utilizing the stories and buttons on Facebook and Instagrams? How do you suggest schools use them effectively?
Definitely. They're interactive, they're engaging. We definitely believe that that is really something that you should be doing.
All right, so that's about all the questions. Thank you everyone for your time and attention. I hope we could leave you with something useful. The recording of the webinar and the presentation deck will be mailed to all of you first thing tomorrow morning. Jen, Anthony, would you like to add anything before we leave?
The only other thing I add at the end of all my webinars is to connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with Anthony as well. I share tips every single week, multiple times a week, for admissions and for marketing. I give away my best kept secrets on there. So connect with us on LinkedIn if you don't, via email. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Jen, we also have another last question. I think someone just put up a question.
Okay.
Yeah, that says, what texting platform have you found to be the best tool to reach leads without breaking the bank? Students can be difficult to reach via emails and phones, especially the younger generation.
Yay, such a great question. And by the way, this is one of the most common questions I get asked by schools. So there's a couple things you can do. You can Google voice text people. You can, there's texting. There's different texting companies out there. You can have an iPhone. The best thing to do is to get a CRM with built-in texting. And there's multiple reasons for that, but the main one is that your texting conversations need to have a record. People are going to be asking you questions. People are going to be sharing things about their life with you. And you need to be able, as an admissions rep, to be able to look back at those text messages. And if you have a phone with 500 conversations on it, that's really hard to do. The best thing to do is to get a CRM that attaches the entire texting conversation with that lead's contact information directly in the CRM. Again, I know a lot of schools that still use phones. I know some that use texting platforms, but I, for one, am like, the more you can put in one place, same with email. Like, I know companies that they have the phone that they use, and then they use MailChimp or Constant Contact for emails. They're using an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of their leads. Guys, go to a CRM. It's literally it's just the solution, the one-size-fits-all solution, to where all of your contacts are in there, all the emails are fired off from there, all the texts are fired off from there. And another really great thing about using a CRM is you can set up automated text messages. So as soon as you set up an appointment, you don't even have to do anything. It's automatically fired out a text message that says your appointment is on this day at this time, bring this. Same with orientation. And so, if you can get a CRM that has those capabilities to set up automated stuff based on the activity of the user, that's going to be your best bet. Great question.
All right, I think that answers that. Thanks again, Jen. We're going to leave your details on for a couple of more minutes. Thank you again, everyone, for joining in. All of you have a great day ahead.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.